any number of people would have had a reason to want him dead. He had dirt on, everybody in the world. So it maybe doesn't necessarily matter to me right now who wanted him dead for what reason. But how was he plucked out of obscurity? For what reason? And what did his financials look like that would have allowed him to become so prominent in so many different circles? And we sort of discussed this privately, that a prevailing theory is that, like he himself admitted, he was some sort of intelligence asset for the United States. And I kind of got into this, that after his 2006 conviction in Florida for soliciting prostitution from a minor, the attorney handling the case, the U.S. attorney from South Florida, Alex Acosta, who was up until last year our labor secretary, Acosta's on record saying that he got directions to kind of handle Epstein with kitty gloves because he was, quote, an intelligence asset. And so I think that fits very nicely with what Epstein was saying in the 80s, that he worked in some capacity for the CIA or the FBI or something like that to get dirt on influential people in politics, industry, and entertainment, so that if they ever step out of line or do something that maybe wouldn't be in the interest of the rest of their class, he could kind of deploy that at will, or others could deploy that at will to stop this. And I want to make sure that I'm not too murky here, like that I'm just making conjecture about what would be unacceptable behavior for an influential person. Take, for example, say like the president of a South American country or something like that.
Yeah.
Caves to political pressure and wants to institute like a land reform or something like that potentially threatens the profits of a large American fruit exporter or something like that.
Yeah.
And there have been like actual analogs to this, so I'm not just like pulling this out of my ass. If influential people in America stand to lose money from something like that, intelligence could be deployed to stop that, and say by blackmailing whoever would be in charge of this to say, listen, you're not gonna do this. This would be harmful to whoever. And if you do, we've got you on tape, or we've got some sort of intelligence indicating that you like underage prostitutes or recreational drugs or something like that. So,
and that's why it's so obvious that he was killed. It's like he had dirt on Trump, he had dirt on the Clintons, he had dirt on, I want to say, Bill Gates and Elon Musk, and like pretty much everybody that had any sort of power.
Yeah, I mean, Gates and Musk were both like photographed with him at dinners with him at different points in time. I mean, if you were like somebody in that like social strata, you knew him in some capacity, which is
troubling.
Both troubling and convenient for conjecture, I guess. So, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that there are like global forces at play that are enforced by not only like coercion, but outright blackmail and violence on behalf of institutions that fund the lives of our comfortable people.
It's funny because Trump has a very infamous quote from the early 2000s talking about Epstein. I'm not going to get this quote exactly right, but essentially what he says is like, Epstein and I are good friends, where we both like beautiful women. He likes his on the younger side.
Yeah, that was in like a Vanity Fair article in like 2006 or something like that.
Yeah. Real quick with Trump, like this man, he if you can go back to everything he's ever said, he incriminates himself so many times.
Yeah, that was probably not a good thing for him to say.
Ever. It probably wasn't good to say then either.
No, it's not. I mean, because he was
an infamous figure before then.
He was at the very least under investigation at that point, if not under arrest. Like, because 06 was the year of his first when he caught a case. So
it might have been a little earlier.
Could have been earlier than that. Maybe I have my dates wrong, but he was at the very least under investigation at that point. So for him to say that, not so smart.
Yeah, but with Epstein, what I think is really interesting is seeing how it will play out. Because I mean, obviously, he is gone now, but they captured his partner in crime, whatever the fuck she is, and I wonder if she has any sort of blackmail on these figures, and if they'll ever come out, if it'll ever see the light of day.
I don't know. I feel like there's no saying that if things come out, let's like fast forward. She doesn't die in captivity, and she does get to speak, and some of these things come out. My prediction would be that it's some sort of like limited hangout where they get one guy, say they get Leslie Wexner or something like that, and they call it a day. You know, her lawyers, whoever, and I'm sure that prosecutors, the people involved in this, are well aware of the implications of this. that there must be some sort of directives on how to proceed in a sensitive manner. And there's obviously legal parameters here too. So in terms of like information getting to the public, I don't know what's going to happen.
I just want it all to leak. I want it all out.
That's the thing, is that I don't know what it all is. I don't know the scope of this. I don't think anybody knows the scope of this, and it's probably far too vast for normal people to speculate about, which is, I think...
Like they leaked... allegedly, Anonymous leaked some information with Trump and Epstein, and some people just shrugged it off. They just pushed it off. They couldn't confirm it because it's somewhat of a conspiracy, even though there might be some strong evidence suggesting it. So even if this information comes out, who's to say people are even going to accept it?
Or I'll say conversely, if this information is never coming out, who's to say that people aren't already believing what's actually true? That I guess the point I'm trying to make with that is that whether or not these things come out, the fact that people already are asking these questions or feel compelled to ask these questions because they think that these institutions and these systems that run on blood and money and sex trafficking are detrimentally impacting their own lives. The fact that people have already had to ask these questions, to me, says enough about this, that because we've either made people so eager to investigate this that they're maybe teasing out the truth, or we've made people so fucking crazy that they feel like they have to make these connections. I think that says it all. That whether or not these things are actually literally true, they're already true in a cultural, political, and social sense.
Yeah, I remember in 2016 when Pizzagate was kind of coming up, and I remember thinking how fucking insane this is. This sort of underground sex traffic headquarter, like a fucking Domino's somewhere. You know, I know it's not an actual Domino's, but you get the gist.
Yeah.
It's just like, you hear this, you're like, what the fuck is this supposed to mean? Sounds like nonsense. And then this information comes out, like that theory or that conspiracy theory becomes a lot more logistically sound.
Yeah, like the exact details of like the Pizzagate shit don't seem to make any sense to me because they don't track in the general direction of maybe how you and I would understand an Epstein sort of Epstein-esque, Epsteinian. That actually sounds pretty good.
That sounds like a philosophy. I like it.
Yeah, so that like the crazy shit that gets spit out in the kind of the Trump corners, to me is they're not even right or they're not even wrong in the right direction, but that the intuition behind it, that the very people who are at the commanding heights of finance, industry, and entertainment, especially politics, that these people are corrupt hedonists who will influence, peddle, and helm global orders of exploitation. That's not bad intuition to me. That, in fact, that seems like good intuition. So obviously a ton of that shit might be literally wrong, and maybe not wrong in a productive way either. But I think that it's an interesting precursor to the whole Epstein case. That it's maybe the spiritual mother of Epstein, which is actually right, or it's wrong in the right ways. So I don't know. I think that was when we figured out that I was coming on here, that's what I had initially intended to talk about, is the place of like conspiracy and class in the American mindset right now.